Like the intro said, you know who's a freaking awesome loan officer? Chad Prio. Chad Prio has been a top producer his whole life. He's a best-selling author. He's a speaker. He goes around teaching people all over the country how to get more business. He teaches realtors how to get more business, how to close more business. He teaches referral partners how to get more business and how to close more business. There is not anyone else that I can think of that is such a freaking awesome loan officer. I've had the benefit of calling this man friend for a number of years. He and I do tremendous things together in this business, and I absolutely adore him. You know who's a freaking awesome loan officer? Chad Prio is a freaking awesome loan officer. Chad, I appreciate you taking your time out today. I know you just got back from a training class, so I really appreciate you giving us this time.
Thank you. Yes, I did.
All right. So you ready to dive into this?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Here's one I'm going to hit you with right out of the gate, and I'm going to hit you right square in the mouth with it. What makes you stand out from other loan officers, not only in your area, but in your groups?
Okay. I think that's a great question. One of the things that I had to learn was that I needed to be different than every other loan officer. When we're out there and we're talking to real estate agents, we know that there's pretty much an agent on every corner. And in reality, there seems to be a loan officer on every corner as well. So I think what really helps me stand out is I'm able to bring a certain amount of value to one of my referral partners or my real estate agent's business by teaching them how to grow their brand through social media and provide them with purchase money referral leads.
So you actually give your referral partners purchase money leads?
Yes, sir. So, I think when it's all about branding, right? So for me, my brand is made up of two things. One, hashtag imperfect action takers. You mentioned the book, it's how imperfect action leads to success in life and business. But my other hashtag is hashtag Zillow killer. What we do is we teach the agents to go out there and grow the business. And, through some of our marketing platforms, we're actually able to generate purchase referral leads. And then not only do we produce the leads for them, because producing leads is one aspect of it, we actually teach them how to convert.
That's absolutely amazing. I know you're in your home office right now. Is there one of your books within reach?
Yeah, there's one right here.
Could you do me a favor and show it? I want to make sure that everybody knows the School of Get Shit Done.
Yeah, so it's from the School of Get Shit Done, which is obviously, in red and captures your attention. But what the book is really about is what's underneath. It's how imperfect action leads to success in life and business. I actually had a meeting this morning with an agent, and what we were discussing is what was really holding her back is her need to make sure that everything was perfect. And I explained to her that it's never going to be perfect. You just have to, get things moving in the right direction. You can't help but stumble upon success.
The closest thing we have in this world to perfect is a Mercedes-Benz, and they still have to go to the shop.
There you go. There you
go. I have had the benefit of reading your book, and one of the things, and I don't know if you remember this, but I still hold this to heart, and I still tell this story all across the nation, because I feel really bad and I feel really guilty about it. But I don't remember what it was the month that your book came out. But when your book came out, one of the first things you did, is the kind friend that you are, is gave me a copy of that book. And I am so ADD. I have such a horrible time reading, because about the third page, squirrel, and I'm completely lost. So I forced myself, when you and I were at a tribe meeting, one of Ryan Stewman's tribe meetings in Nashville, Tennessee, and I forced myself to read that book. And I remember I read half of it one night and half of it the next night. And I remember reading that book and sitting there while Cassie and I were sitting in the hotel room, and getting tears in my eyes at different points about where you came from, about the builder that you worked for that decided you made too much money and it was time for you to go somewhere else, which I am so thankful. I wish I could mention that builder, but I am so thankful that builder did that, as I'm sure you are today also, because otherwise I may not have gained the awesome friend that I gained. But I remember when I got to the second half of that book, and I started reading the parts that you had written about me, and how it just absolutely was one of the most amazing things that I'd ever read before. It was so humbling, but it made me feel so guilty that I had that book in my bag for 60, 90 days without reading it. I remember waking up that next morning, meeting you for breakfast with the rest of the tribe members, and just apologizing completely. So I just wanted to get that out there. The book is awesome. I highly recommend it to anybody, no matter where you're at in life, no matter where you're at in business. And I think you can get it on Amazon.
Yep. Yeah. And, it was written to inspire people. I mean, it's a story of basically, my life, but it's the failures and successes of me running the corporate rat race for, over 8 years, and expecting to retire with the company and not even having a LinkedIn account, to, getting into the mortgage business, and then landing a really good builder account, doing, 20 plus million a year with them, with no ABA, no MSA, no money exchanging hands. We just did a good job, to watching that $20 million walk out the door, and then having to recreate myself all over again. So, I like to tell people, when I start at the speaking events, is letting people know where someone comes from. Is, by the time I was 40, I lost both my parents. I don't really have any brothers or sisters or family, and I've lost my career twice. And it's just kind of that story, because no matter where you are, no one's going to come and save you. It's all up to you. And actually, the title of the book came from my wife. The day I lost my job, I didn't, I tell people all the time, my wife believed in me when no one did, not even me. And so she actually said, hey, we're from the school to get shit done. We're not going to wait for someone to come in here and fix this. We're going to make it happen. And so that's just kind of where we had been. And then I learned, a few things, from Stewman and other folks like yourself, and really took to heart the imperfect action and kind of adopted that into my everyday work. And so what we're trying to do now is take what I was able to do with my business and teach the other agents, because all of us hit hard times. It's just the nature of life.
Agree. And you have turned it around and become such a success. It's awe-inspiring to me to watch that happen. And I don't want to get into boastful or anything like that, but the fact that we're having this interview and you're sitting at your wonderful, beautiful 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom home, and your biggest problem in the morning is which Porsche is in the way for you pulling out in the morning to go to the office. Life has come full circle for you, and there's nobody who deserves it like you do.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to hear about people is when you hear, that someone's an overnight success. It's funny because I got months without a paycheck. I racked up over $60,000 in credit card debt when I got in the mortgage business. I mean, it took me almost 3 years to pay all that back. I mean, we didn't start buying things until much later on. And then we did things a lot differently. We bought a few nice things that we have fun with, but for the most part, we've invested our money. We've done things, and we invest our money in people as well, because, that's a big deal.
Agree. All right. What technology do you love using that was provided to you by Hancock Mortgage Partners?
Well, so some people know the story, some people don't. So the lead gen platform was something that, I brought to the table, and I did it on a very elementary level. It was enough to scrape together leads and bring them in and convert them, and life was good. And, one of the reasons, obviously I'm very partial to Hancock is you guys took the information I brought to you, came to me and said, hey, we think this is game changing. We want to get behind it. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. And if you remember correctly, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. But instead of trying to steal my idea, what was most impressive for me is you and Keith and Myatt, Mr. Hancock, said, let's create something that's mutually beneficial for all of us. So the number one thing for me is you taking what I brought to the table years ago, investing well over $1 million into it, creating a true machine that markets for our referral partners 24 hours a day. That has changed my business, because what I'm able to do now is take that information and the leads that come in and be able to teach other people how to grow their business. There's nothing more satisfying than teaching a real estate agent how to grow their business, because, they need as much business as we can get. So for me, the hot homes has been one of the biggest game changers.
Agree, agree. One of the things that I love about it, and you actually built it and brought it before anybody else did. You believed in it when Stuman told you about it and brought it here. Is the fact that so many people in our business are still so far behind the times and bringing rate sheets, which I haven't seen a rate sheet in 100 years, but somehow loan officers still ask me about rate sheets.
Guess what? Rates went up again today.
It is long story, but rate sheets and donuts. And if you're not doing something that's valuable in your marketplace, you should either change with the times or get the hell out of the rest of our way.
Yep.
What changes are you going to do to increase the leads that you provide for your referral partners in the next quarter in the calendar year 2018?
Yeah, so a couple things that I've done that has changed, which has increased. I'm focusing not only on the leads that we're able to provide, but also the organic business that I can help them grow. So I have started teaching an 11-week series where what we are doing is we are teaching them how to build their brand and showing them how to organically get leads to come to them. The other thing that we do is we've coupled up, which we've had for years, with the guys over there at Listing Booster. We're teaching them, not only are we, so when I first started using Listing Booster, it was one of the first lead platforms I used. It was a great platform, but it was like, hey, let's just throw this sign up and let's see how it works. What I'm doing now is I actually teach an entire class on where to put them, what groups to put them in, what to look for, how to actually go out there and market with the tools that are there, and then take it one step further. Now that the lead comes in, we're teaching them how to convert. And, so I created a behind the scenes group called VIP Modern Marketing with Chad. The only way to get in that group is to go through these classes. And what you see every single day is people at various stages of these classes are converting the leads that we're providing. Because, it's one thing for you and I, Johnny, to tell people, oh yeah, this stuff works. It's another thing when one of their colleagues tells them. Because we're just the mortgage guys, right? I mean, there's nothing sexy about what we do. People need us because they don't have $400,000. But when another real estate agent tells another real estate agent, hey, this stuff works and here's what I did, there's your social proof.
I agree. I've got the benefit of being inside of that VIP Modern Marketing group, and I get to watch what happens. And I try and add when I can, as I can, to that group to be a good participant. One of the things that I absolutely love watching in there is not only the fact that the agents are actually converting, and when they get so happy and they are telling the world about what just happened and what they just did. But one of the things that I've noticed here in the past few weeks is you have agents that are actually converting leads while they're in class learning how to convert leads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I actually, in my conversion class, we actually put the Apple TV on and you can see my phone, and I took a lead from an agent in that class and we converted it right in front of 20 other agents. And, they're like, oh my God, she's texting back. Well, yeah. What did you think I've been telling you for the last 6 weeks? But sometimes they just have to see it. And what I also thought is getting them to understand that you have to sell where people want to be sold. So, one of my agents that has probably had the most success with conversion, that a lead came in at like 8:44 the other night, and at 8:45 she was on the phone with them, and she's already scheduled the buyer consultation, and they've got to sell a home. So not only is she going to get a potential purchase, she's probably going to get a potential listing, and they've got that scheduled for this coming week. So that's the hardest part, is getting people to understand that yes, the stuff works, but it's like any other tool. If you don't use it, it's not going to work. I mean, you got to put the work in to make the money.
So she got a listing and a potential buy on that. My understanding, and I don't know exactly what they are, but I think what I've been told lately is one sign is equal to 2.6 sales.
Oh yeah, at least. Yeah, I mean, so basically, when a real estate agent, whether you're at Keller Williams or Remax, one of the big boxes, they've always said, hey, one sign equals to 2 or 3 sales. So the whole goal is let's hurry up and just get a sign in somebody's yard. And even if that home doesn't sell, don't worry. People are going to call off of it or whatever. What we've now done is we've taught them how to do that virtually. And the thing is I mean, I have some of the stuff, our hot homes. I've got one that got in front of 27,000 people in 1 week. So I knocked on 27,000 virtual doors, and I only talked to the people that raised their hand and said, hey, guys, I want more information. I mean, when we talked with the Keller Williams of the world, and I'm not saying door knocking doesn't work, because it absolutely does, but I don't know about you. We live in Houston, and so in the middle of August, when it's 140 degrees outside, I don't think I want to go knock on doors for 3 hours. And I said, how long would it take you to knock on 27,000 doors? And so, that is, I'm a big believer in the proof is in the pudding. And what we've been able to do is help them grow their business and close more deals. And it seems to be working out pretty well.
On a bright and sunny 70-degree day with low humidity, I'm not going to knock on 27 doors, much less 27,000. So when August rolls around, I'm not going to knock on my own door.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's the thing. It works, but man, it's a tough way to cut your teeth. We're just showing them, like you said, modifying with the times.
So this is almost that Bryant Gumbel type question. And I want you to think about where you came from the builder world, buying your first property, not necessarily your 10th or 20th property, but that first property. What do you love most about being a loan officer?
That's a great question. I'll be very honest. I never wanted to be a loan officer. Coming from the builder world, I enjoyed that side of the business a lot. I never wanted to be a loan officer. I only got into it, honestly, so I could stay close enough to the housing business so I could jump back in. And as you know, by reading the book, I had that opportunity and didn't do it. Because what I found in this business is, we have the ability to solve people's problems. And what I mean by that is, whether that's they need a bigger home because their family's growing, whether they need, cash out because, their daughter or son is going off to college, whether they're downsizing because the kids went off or someone passed away. But, being able to be there when people need us, and, whether it's the single mom or whatever it is, that's probably really the biggest thing that I've enjoyed, because let's be honest, they tell us the most intimate of secrets. I mean, they give us their name, their date of birth, and their social security number. I mean, if we had bad intentions, we could do bad things to these folks. And they open up, and as you know, they tell us more than we probably should ever want to know about them. But to be able to walk them from start to finish and accomplish whatever goal they have in mind, that's been a pretty rewarding feeling.
That's one of my favorite things when I was originating, and still to this day, I still remember, it's near and dear to my heart, taking somebody from a home renter or an apartment renter into a homeowner, into being part of a community. That was always my most rewarding thing. I enjoyed it more than anything in the world. And one of the things that I would do is I would drive by that house a week, 2 weeks later, just to see, the kids playing out in the street, just to see them mowing their yard. That sense of joy is something that's always just stuck with me in this business, and I absolutely love this business.
Yeah, I mean, you truly do become, it's a pretty intimate process because, like I said, we know everything about them. I mean, I've made some wonderful friends from, meeting them just from, doing their business. Agree.
Now, here's one that I need you to put on all of your years in the business and business period and being such an integral part of this community, of this business. What advice or tips do you have to give other loan officers that are in not only your own market, because I know you share, but across the country? What is it that you can give somebody that's advice tip today that will help them in their business life today?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually easy. I don't even have to think that long because, it's something that I try to preach on a regular basis. I mean, you have to bring value to the marketplace. I believe whether you're a real estate agent or a loan officer, our paychecks are a direct reflection of the value we bring to the marketplace. I mean, we all have rates and we all have fees and we all have that kind of stuff. But to really be able to grow your business properly, you have to bring value. That's value to your referral partners. That's value to the potential clients who may or may not understand the process of home buying. Just be different. Be different, be compassionate. I mean, focus on relationships and bring as much value as you possibly can.
Beautiful.
I learned a while back, so I believe in I don't believe in the golden rule, right? You know what the golden rule is, right? Treat people how you want to be treated. I don't believe in that rule. Here's why. Each one of us wants to be treated differently. So I believe that you treat people the way they want to be treated. You sell people where they want to be sold. If they, like for me, don't call me because I'm busy, right? Like text me, So we ask people, how do you want to be communicated? How do you want to get your weekly updates? That's a real big deal is understanding for them that, they have, work and family and kids activities and things like that. So, when you focus on, so what I decided to do was I believe in the 51-49% principle. I believe that if I give 51%, which is one of the reasons why I teach the classes and I go out there with the agents and I'm helping them with their business, and I only am concerned with me 49% of the time, I'll be just fine.
That's a great philosophy. One of the things that you do that I know of that I just absolutely think is so imperative in business, you just hit on it a little bit. It's asking the customer how they want to be communicated with. It reminds me of some stats that I hear all the time. And I don't remember, I may be off a little bit, but 92% of all phone calls go unanswered. 99% of all text messages are seen. You can see this, and I tell people this all the time. Test this out for yourself. Sit in a restaurant at lunchtime, at dinner time, whatever, and just people watch. And you'll watch, and somebody's phone will ring, and they'll pick it up, they'll roll their eyes, and they'll set their phone down and just can't believe somebody had just the gall to call them. Now, that same phone vibrates while they're at the same dinner, same lunch, and they will pick it up no matter if the Pope is sitting across from them, and they will start text messaging back immediately. So, to me, that is so important to communicate with people the way they want to be communicated with, and you hit on that very, very hard, and I commend you, and I hope others take that advice. All right. Now, this is a completely self-serving question. This is something, and I have had the benefit of working with you for 4 years now.
Over 4 now, yeah.
It's a little over, yeah. And this is something that that was brought to me by your peers to ask. I wasn't a fan of this question, but I was told that it had to stay in. Yeah. What do you love about working at Hancock Mortgage Partners?
Well, let me reposition myself. I tell this a lot to people because obviously I get to interact with a lot of people, and I'll kind of take it back to 4.5 years ago, like why I chose Hancock, and I think it'll make sense. So the reason I chose Hancock over, I was fortunate that I had a lot of opportunities, just like a lot of folks do, that produce. If you can produce enough in business, mortgage companies will look at you. But every mortgage company I talked to and had written offers from, all wanted to tell me what they expected of me, meaning, by month 3, we're going to do this, by month 6, by month 12. Hancock was the only company that really said, okay, well, what is it that you want to do? And I didn't really understand that at first. And you actually said it. You said, look, if you want this to be $1 million a month branch, we'll support that. If you want this to be a $3 million a month branch, we'll support that. And if you remember, I had actually thought I was going somewhere else because you and I hadn't talked. And I kind of threw it back on my wife, and you guys actually, that's one of the benefits I think of being here in Houston is you guys said, hey, you know what? Not a problem. We'd like to visit with your wife. And I can remember leaving that lunch that day, my wife saying, that's what you've been looking for. That's where you want to go. So, why I chose it is everything you guys ever said you were going to do, you've exceeded that. You've met everything that you said. And from there, it does feel like a family. We always talk about the Hancock Mortgage Partner family. There is a Mr. Hancock, which is kind of cool. I remember when we had our last manager meeting, I had to kind of pry it out of him because he wants people to, from a loan officer standpoint, to call him. And I'm like, Maya, they're not going to call you. You own the company. That's a little because most of us have never worked at a place where the owner truly means, hey, you got a question, or if you're not getting something you need, call me. And so, for me, it's really been, the core group that we've had. Obviously, I've gotten to see a lot of growth over the last 4 years, but wasn't it wasn't about you. It was about me.
I agree completely. That's the way it was then. That's the way it is now. And as long as I'm above ground, that's the way it will be. Um, Now, this question is going to be how do I say this? You have had so many things to overcome that people may or may not know. This question is going to take you a couple seconds to figure out which one you want to answer.
Okay.
What is one obstacle that you had to overcome as a LO?
I mean, well, I've had a couple, but I mean, the big one for me was, losing a $20 million a year account. I mean, anybody that knows, I mean, I basically was, the builder's bitch. At 20 million plus a year, on any normal comp plan, that's a lot of money. And I had put all my eggs in that basket. You guys know, I came to you and told you about the builder and what they expected. And then, I wasn't here 2 months when they had decided they were going to open up their own mortgage company. And we watched all that walk out the door. And I remember coming to you guys thinking, I'm out of a job. And, it was kind of so shocking. You guys basically said, okay, well, we didn't hire you for them. We hired you for you. What do we need to do to replace that business? And that's where a lot of this stuff came from. But for me, the hardest thing for us as LOs is to get the business. The technical side is not that difficult. I mean, you can figure out guidelines and how to structure a loan. But, you lose an account that's 80+% of your business. I mean, that hurts.
So one of the things that I know, and I want to put this out there, the builder that you were working with treated you horribly. I had never experienced that before in my life, and when you and I first started working together, I got to see that firsthand experience on how bad they treated you. One thing I want to be sure and relay is if you're a loan officer in that same position, you don't have to put up with that. You can find other business. You can find more business. You're the one with the money. Now, other people out there may have the same money, but you do not have to take the abuse that may come with that business. That's one thing I want to hit on. The other thing that I'd like to hit on also is the fact that not only you reinvented yourself, replaced that business plus some, but the fact that, if I'm correct, that mortgage company failed within a short period of time. They did a horrible job. The joint venture that they did together was absolutely a joke. And they came back to you to do business, but this time it was on your terms.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you've heard the analogy, I was a good dog, I sat and rolled over and, and the way they, rewarded me was obviously a lot of business and it helped me get out of my spot. But I can also tell you when I would get phone calls at 10:30 and if I didn't answer, the message would say, well, I guess you don't want this business. I'll call the other lender. And missing a closing by a day was, the end of the world. So, once I realized I could generate my own business, and when I say my own business, I'm not talking about referral business. I'm talking about lead gen. When I was able to bring something of more value to the table than any of my competitors, because in reality, I love working with my referral partners. I get to now pick and choose the partners that I want to work with. I had a lady come up to me after a class yesterday, and she was, a little arrogant. And I said, "Oh, no, don't mistake this. Just as you're sitting there deciding whether or not you want to work with me, I'm deciding whether or not I want to work with you." And so I don't have to. Fortunately, today, take a whole lot of abuse. We all have those folks that like to abuse us. But yeah, I mean, my thing is now is I let them know what I expect of them because I know that I'm bringing more value than the next LO. We've got, we were talking about the hashtags, right? So my hashtag Zillow killer, all of us love Zillow. I mean, I have agents that have gone on video with me and tell people that I put between $50,000 and $100,000 in their pocket by just following our systems. I had a lady who I work with now that got up in front of a group of 50 other agents and told them I doubled her business in 7 months. It didn't matter what I said after that. The other 49 agents were like, I want to double my business. So, it took a little while to get people to jump on board, but it only takes one, and I would agree with you, Johnny. I mean, we don't know our worth. Every day we're told we're not good enough by all sorts of people in our lives, right? But at the end of the day, if you can drive business and find a company that will help, I mean, like I said, I created something that worked. It was nice, but I didn't have $1 million+ to make it what it is today. I mean, I don't even have to send the lead out anymore. It just auto generates. And then all the other cool things with the slide out and the systems that we built from the ground up. My thought is if people can't make it here, they can't make it anywhere, because we literally are helping agents grow their business. And like I said, we got folks that tell you that we double it. And now, I'm kind of rambling here, but offices I could never get one agent out of, I now have the owner of those offices calling me, begging me to come do classes, even though their in-house lender is 3 doors down. Even though they say, I got a RE/MAX office here in town. I have never let another lender step foot in my office and talk to my agents. But from what I hear and what I know is happening from other, brokerages out there, I need you to come in here and talk to my people. And after the very first class, not even talking about lead gen at this point, just value added and teaching them how to build their brand and grow their business. I got two pre-qualifications within 3 hours of leaving that class. I mean, that stuff never happened before. Usually I was out there begging, please, please, please. And that's not an arrogant standpoint. It's just people can see the value that we bring, and it's a benefit to them and it's a benefit to us.
Agree. 2 things I want to hit on real quick before we get off that question, but then I want to move on. So one of the things you said something about in-house lenders. One of the things that I get an absolute kick out of is these in-house lenders. In my opinion, these illegal MSAs, marketing service agreements that people do to be the in-house lender, and then watching the mortgage company put the most inept human being that they can put in there is the in-house lender, and then the amount of business that they actually do compared to what the actual amount of business that real estate firm does is such a joke. One thing I want you to correct me on if I'm wrong, but this is one that I think will be a life lesson that will stick with me forever. When you first made the transition and you came on, I remember how adamant you were about letting that one builder know that you were making a change, and you were making a change for the better, and it was to help them. And I can't remember, for some reason I want to say it was the president of the builder that reached out and said that he was going to punish you because you personally didn't let him know that you were changing companies, and that you went on probation for a period of time. To me, that's one of those things that I will laugh at forever. I think it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, so I dealt with the director of sales who managed all the salespeople in all of Houston. So I took it from one community, and over the course of 18 months, took over about 60%, because they had 4 or 5 lenders when I joined them. I had a gentleman that I'd worked with at a previous builder that we got along, and so I got my foot in the door. So I was working with the director of sales. We had gone in for meetings. I mean, it was all said. And then I sent the email where the president of the company was on the email that just said, hey, I'm really happy to announce the change is finally complete, blah, 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 blah. I'll be reaching out to our pipeline. At that time, I was carrying a pipeline of probably 6 to 7 million rolling because, they closed 500 plus homes a year. We were getting, probably 150 of them. And so actually more than that, at that time, we were probably getting close to 200. And at that time, they were probably around 350. I think when we finished working with them, they were at about 500. But that guy said I didn't let him know, which was funny. I had never spoken to him one time in the 2.5 years that we did business together, because, as the president of a major player builder, why would he be wanting to mess around with me? I just let everyone else know. And it was funny because then I called the director and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And he's like, dude, I don't even know. Why is he all upset? And yeah, there again, builders, I don't do a lot of builders. You know what builders I do now? I do small custom home builders where I can have a one-on-one relationship with the owner. Even if they only do 20 homes a year and I get 5 or 6 of them, I mean, that's perfect. They value me, I value them. It's a totally different deal.
And you actually bring the construction money to them now.
Yeah. I mean, we got all sorts of construction money, and so and we've gone out there, and then not only do I do that, but we've even run funnels for some of our custom home builders, and we brought them buyers as well.
All right, I already know the answer to this question. You've already answered this question on this interview, but I think it's important to reiterate, and I think it's going to be kind of comical to hear you repeat this. Did you always want to be a mortgage loan officer? If so, why? If no, what were you pursuing before this?
Yeah, so look, guys, there's nothing sexy about mortgages. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, people need us because they don't have $300,000 or $400,000. I never wanted to be a mortgage. Look, I came from the housing world. I went to college. The first line in the book, it's got some F words in it. But my parents lied to me. My parents were teachers. They said go to school, get good grades. I ran the corporate rat race. I loved the home building business. I sold homes in the early 2000s, and then I ran sales, construction, and warranty for one of the largest home builders in the country. At one time, I had 32 employees that worked and reported to me. When I lost my job the week before Thanksgiving in 2011, being an originator was the last thing I wanted to do. I got into it, like I said, just because I wanted to stay close enough to the housing business. What I didn't realize, and let's revert back to 2004 and 5 and 6. I had friends that were loan officers, and they were making tons and tons and tons of money. It was never anything that really appealed to me. So I liked the housing side. What I never realized is the dynamic and the things that go into the origination business. Because here's what I love about, and which is why I'm glad I do it today, is if today Hancock Mortgage said, we don't want you to work here, my business won't change a bit, because what I've done is I built my business. So what I love about originating now, which I didn't know then, was it's my business, not their business. And what I also learned is I was basically making other people rich over and over and over again. I made that home builder just in my area between $1.5 million and $2 million a year in profit. Now, I'm not rich, but, I can keep the lights on, so that doesn't suck. But at the end of the day, I get to build something, and I get to work with the people that I like to work with, and not only my referral partners, but people like you, Johnny, and Myatt and Keith, and that's kind of what makes it different. But I don't think anybody ever wakes up and says, "I want to be a loan originator." I mean, this is to me it's the best kept hidden secret. If people knew what kind of money you could make being an originator, people wouldn't go to school to be attorneys and doctors and engineers. They'd come and do this because it's amazing. I mean, in Houston alone, we have over 40,000 registered real estate agents. So if you make one mad because you missed a closing by 3 days, who cares? Because there's thousands and thousands of them. Now, if you communicate, they're not going to get mad over 3 days. But yeah, I never want to be an originator. I don't know anybody that would. This is a tough business. But if you surround yourself with the right people and build your business the right way, it can be one of the most rewarding and, not only, financially, but also from personal gratification.
Agree. Great answer. This last question is my gotcha question. This is that Bryant Gumbel moment where I try and jerk at your heartstrings. Yeah. And this is something that's you and me sitting here talking. Okay. So I know your why. I don't like that terminology, but I know your why. I know the 2 rugrats that happen to live in that home with you, and I know that incredible woman that backs you every minute of every day and helps make you who you are. You tell me why you get out of bed every single day to do this. You tell me about those rugrats and what they mean and how that impacts your business.
Yeah, so for any of you that have ever tried to run the corporate rat race, you realize you're on someone else's time frame. And so when I started selling homes in the early 2000s, I missed every soccer game. I missed every birthday party because I sat in a model and sold homes on every Saturday and Sunday. I didn't even sometimes get to go to my own kids. We'd have to make arrangements. And so, basically what being an originator and building my business allowed me to do was have the ability that if I want to take a day off, now, ideally, we don't ever have a day off because I can still work from the phone. But to be able to have the ability, like tonight, I'm working from the home office today because I couldn't make it back to the office because I had a training. But my daughter has a soccer game in an hour, and guess what? We'll still be lifting it out. We'll still be doing business, and I'm going to have that ability. But more than just my family, we've been very fortunate. If I have just a few minutes, I'll tell you the defining moment for me was when I lost my job. We got invited. Two things. One, my daughter asked us when she couldn't go to McDonald's one night. Now she's 9. She was 9 at the time, and she asked us if we were poor. You probably remember that in the book. And as a father and a man, that was a pretty gut wrenching deal. Now, what I tried to explain to a 9-year-old is we weren't poor. We were broke. Broke is temporary. Poor is a lifestyle. But the other defining moment was we got invited to do something with my son's friend at school, and we didn't know their parents. They made sure my kids had a good time. This was right around Christmas, and what we did is they invited us back to their home for dinner. And we at this point we had food. We had food. My mom was still alive at the time, so we weren't going to starve. But I remember leaving that night, and I told my wife, I said, these people aren't our friends. We don't know them. But they opened up their home, they invited us, and made sure my kids had a good time today. If I could ever get back to where I was before, I'll bring as many people along with me. So that was a defining moment for me to not only, I knew that I could get back and take care of my family. But what I made a conscious effort to do was to try to help other people, whether that's, I paid, she'll never, they'll never see this, but, I paid for my niece's college last semester because her parents couldn't. And I told her, I can't always do this, but today I can. I take care of some other people that are close to me in my life because there were times that I needed help, and there were people, the least expected people were there to help. So, to me, your why, I don't kind of like that term either, but I do think, there's got to be that purpose. I like the word purpose better than why. What motivates you after the excitement of this phone call or whatever that ramps you up for the day is gone. And to me, finding the ability to help other people accomplish whatever, I want to help other people make life-changing money. The mortgage business and especially Hancock Mortgage has done that for me. As a home builder, I made $120,000 to $150,000 a year. If you would have told me I could have quarters where I made that much money, I would have told you were crazy. And it's not every quarter, but here's the thing: what you put in is what you get out. So you got to have a bigger purpose. There's a lot more to it than just money. Money, is important because we all have bills to pay. But at the end of the day, if you can make an impact on somebody's life, and that goes back to your question earlier, Johnny, is, what I love about Hancock Mortgage. I'll remember this, and I tell people all the time, Maya, when we had this discussion of you guys taking over some of this stuff, I was a little reluctant, as you remember, it was mine. And I remember saying, if I want to unplug here, I can go here. It's mine. And I remember Maya saying, we'll always figure out a way to divide the money. And my cynical voice was saying, okay, we'll see. Well, that was over 3.5 years ago. And, so I definitely think you got to have a why. You got to know what it is. Like I said before, my wife believed in me when no one did. But I can remember, it is a challenge in our industry. My daughter on many occasions has said, Daddy's always on the phone. To me, when you get in this business, you have to work really, really hard for the first couple years. Obviously, I've been in the business more than before I've been with you. If you can just put in that time for 2 to 3 years and build a good base, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. But it's a tough business. It's not for everybody. But if you can make it and put in the work, it's the greatest business out there.
I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know you need to get to the soccer game. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you so much for being who you are.
Well, I appreciate it. I feel the same way. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.